4 kilometers below the surface of the ocean, at a depth where the pressure would crush you into pulp in under a second, something moved in the dark. We didn't know it was there, we still don't fully understand what it is. In March 2026, a research vessel deployed a submersible to the Hadal Zone, the deepest places on Earth, not the deep sea. The Hadal zone, named after Hades, the place where pressure itself becomes a living thing. At 11,000 meters down in the Challenger Deep southwest of Guam, the water above you weighs 100 times heavier than the air at sea level. That's not a metaphor, that's the actual force pressing inward on every cell, every atom. Your sternum would cave, your eardrums would rupture, your eyes would implode, but something down there was alive. The footage came back grainy. It had to. The cameras down there aren't like the ones on your phone. They're built to survive in a place where the pressure would crush steel. The image quality suffers, the authenticity doesn't. What appeared on the screen was a creature no one had classified. No Latin name, no entry in any taxonomy, a body shaped like a question mark. Limbs that moved slower than wrong, not because it was sluggish, but because it had never known a current fast enough to require speed. Skin that caught the submersible's light and threw it back in a way that suggested texture. Real texture. The grain of something retrieved, not rendered. To understand what you're looking at, you have to understand the pressure first. You have to feel it. Close your eyes and imagine 400 atmospheres pressing inward. Not on your skin, through it, into your sternum, into your ears, into the space behind your eyes. That's what life at 7,000 meters feels like from the inside. Double it, go deeper. At 11,000 meters, the pressure is so immense that the creature's cells have adapted to match it exactly. Bring it to the surface too fast, decompress it, and it ruptures from the inside out. The pressure that kept it alive becomes the thing that kills it. This is not a metaphor. This is the literal constraint of a life that has never known the surface. What makes this discovery different isn't just that we found a new species. We found hundreds of new species in the deep sea. What makes this different is that we found something that shouldn't exist. Its morphology, the shape of it, suggests an evolutionary path that doesn't match anything we know. Not distantly, not at all. The limbs attach at angles that would be inefficient in any current science understands. The sensory organs, if that's what they are positioned in ways that suggest it's detecting something we don't have equipment to measure. Pressure waves, maybe, thermal gradients, chemical signatures in the water that carry information across kilometers of black. The research team spent 3 weeks analyzing the footage. They brought in biologists from 6 countries. Every single one said the same thing: we don't have a framework for this. The closest comparison they offered was this: if you took everything you know about how life adapts to extreme environments, then inverted it, you might get close to understanding how this creature survives, but you'd still be wrong. Here's what they did find: the creature had been there, in that spot, at that depth, probably for thousands of years, maybe longer, we just hadn't looked. The ocean covers 71% of Earth's surface. We've explored less than 5% of it. And of that 5%, we've only really looked at the top layers. The midnight zone 1,000 to 4,000 meters is still mostly unexplored. The bathypelagic zone 4,000 to 6,000 meters is largely unknown. The Hadal zone below 6,000 meters is less understood than the surface of Mars. You read that right. We have better maps of an alien planet than we do of Earth's own ocean floor. And the Challenger Deep, the deepest point in the Challenger Deep, that's only been visited by humans 4 times, ever in recorded history. 4 times when the submersible's camera rotated slowly across the creature, and it was slow, that rotation, because the camera itself was fighting the pressure. Something else appeared. Another one, slightly smaller, camouflaged not by color but by the way it held itself against the rock. This meant they hunted together, or they migrated together, or they were something we don't have a word for yet. It meant they had social structures we couldn't see. It meant the deep ocean isn't a desert populated by scattered predators and scavengers. It's a world, a functioning, complex, structured world, and we've been blind to it. The footage showed the smaller creature moving toward the larger one. Not attack, not flight, approach. There was intention in it, purpose. The larger creature's appendages, the strange, wrong-angled limbs adjusted slightly. Recognition, maybe, acknowledgement, and then the camera drifted. The submersible had to move. The pressure at that depth doesn't allow for long visits. The submersible itself can only stay down for a few hours before the strain becomes dangerous, so the footage cut. The creatures remained. The world continued without witness. When we talk about alien life, we usually look up. We scan the sky for radio signals. We build rovers for Mars. We calculate the Drake equation. We imagine life on Europa, on Enceladus, on exoplanets in distant systems. But the truth is stranger and closer. Life doesn't need sunlight to exist. It doesn't need oxygen the way we understand it. It doesn't need warmth. It needs pressure. It needs pressure and time and a place where the surface world can't reach. And we have that place. It's not on another planet. It's on ours. It's 4 kilometers down. The discovery changes the question we should be asking. We assumed the deep ocean was hostile to life, just barely habitable, populated by extremophiles and scavengers. But what if it's not barely habitable? What if it's optimally habitable for creatures adapted to it? What if the deep ocean isn't a wasteland we conquered? It's a civilization we haven't met. And what if there are thousands of them down there? Hundreds of thousands, intelligent, structured, evolved, living in pressure so immense that if you described it without numbers, no one would believe you. The submersible retrieved no samples. You can't bring a creature from 11,000 meters to the surface. It would die instantly. The pressure that gave it life would become its executioner, so all we have is footage. Grainy, unenhanced. Real, the kind of footage that, in an age of AI-generated deepfakes, actually feels real because it refuses to be polished. The grain is the proof. The wrong slow movement is the proof. The texture that doesn't quite match what CGI can simulate is the proof. The research team has filed for funding to return. They want to send down probes that can stay longer, cameras that can map wider, collection systems that can preserve samples at depth, bringing them up slowly enough that they might survive. They want to know how many there are, what they eat, whether they have language, whether they have history, whether they've always been there or whether they evolved to match the pressure as it changed, whether there's a generation time down there, a span of years or decades or centuries before a creature fully adapts, whether they know anything about the world above them, or whether the surface is only a rumor, something the oldest creatures remember but the young ones dismiss as myth. But here's what keeps the team awake at night, the thing they don't talk about in press releases. The creature in the footage moved with intention. Not instinct, intention. It saw the submersible, it adjusted, it communicated with the other creature, it had agency, it was thinking asterisk. And that means when we brought our cameras down, we weren't discovering, we were encountering asterisk. We were meeting something that had been living in that darkness for so long that it had developed its own answer to the question of how to survive in a world we can't exist in. And now that we know it's there, the question isn't whether there's life in the deep. The question is, what happens next? Or do we owe a civilization that exists in a place where we can never naturally live? Do we have the right to study them? Do we have the responsibility to leave them alone? Do they even know we are there, or are we just passing shadows to them, quick ghosts of light that appear and vanish in the pressure dark? 4 kilometers down at 100 atmospheres in the place we call the bottom of the world, something is living a life we've never understood. And now that we've seen it, we can't unsee it. The door has opened, the question has been asked, and the pressure in that darkness just got a little bit heavier.